First and foremost, as always, before I get started with my lesson, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations and blessings to the Akim that do this work in truth and sincerity. Lord willing, this video will be edifying and to the point. Alright, and the topic of this lesson is, a man's purpose. Alright, a man's purpose, and the inspiration of this video. Alright, it's just a conversation that I overheard at work. Alright, and people were going into basically, the purpose of man or the purpose of humanity or whatever the case may be. It just got me to think about the scriptures and what the scriptures speak about what a man's purpose is. So I'm going to get into the lesson. Lord willing, let be edifying to all maybe listening. First scripture I'm going to start off with is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. Shalakia 12, verse 13. And it says, let us hear the whole conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Alright, so man's purpose, or the whole duty of man, is to keep the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Preferably, an Israelite man. Okay, really all mankind, all men. Even the other nations eventually, will follow, the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because this is going to be, the cornerstone, of the whole universe. Okay, when Yahushua comes back, all nations, will be subject to following the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Lord. And if they don't, then depending on, the sin or the transgression, then they will be judged accordingly. So again, this is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. And it says, let us hear the whole conclusion of the matter, the whole conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahweh and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So the whole duty of man, is to keep the commandments of the Lord, man. Plain and simple. This is in the NLT. It says, this is the whole story. Now this is my final conclusion. Fear Yahweh and obey his commandments, for this is everyone's duty. So as a society as a whole, as it is in heaven, so shall it be on earth. The whole duty is to serve Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because that's what they're ultimately doing in the heavens, man. The angels, they're continuously praising Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai and whatnot, transgressing against him. They're following the orders of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. We get this next scripture. This is Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 12. It says, now Israel, what does the Lord thy power Yahweh require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy power, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul. So with all your mouth, with all your soul going into your mind, because that's what you think and you ponder on, and when you think of things to do, you should be thinking on how to serve the Lord, how to please the Lord, how to make the Lord happy. According to the scriptures. That's the whole duty of man. That's the purpose of man. Not to be a rapper. Not to be a football player. Not to get an education or a degree, your master's, or whatever the case may be. Now, if you're in the world, or should I say, have you came into the truth, you learned the truth new, then okay, hey, continue to get your degree, because you already then, use that time already. Go ahead and finish it. And if, you know, you can finish your degree or get whatever you got to get, and, you know, get you a stable job or whatever the case may be, so be it, do it. But understand that the scripture, all right, this is, again, Deuteronomy chapter 12, Shalakia, Deuteronomy 10 and 12. All right, and it says, and now Israel, what does the Lord Yahweh require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy power, and to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy power with all thy heart and with all thy soul. All right, so that's the purpose. Our purpose is to serve Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, let me get this next scripture. All right, this is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 2. And it says, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy power to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I commanded thee, thou and thy son and thy sons, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged. All right, so by serving the Lord, your days are prolonged, man, because why? You have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Lord. All right, you don't have the vibration of the world on you. Okay, you know how to handle situations differently, contrary to how the world teaches you. Okay, because in the world, you know, you were angry. All right, you may have went off, all right, differently to a situation before you got this knowledge. All right, you know how to move with discretion, all right, and wisdom. All right, because what? The days are evil. All right, the hearts of many are waxing cold. So you handle situations differently now than you would have, all right, when you were in the truth. I mean, Shalakia, when you were in the world. All right, so, you know, this wisdom preserves you, man. All right, it protects you, all right, from the evils of the world. All right, the angels protect you. All right, Yahweh protects you. All right, let me continue. Let me get this next scripture. This is Psalms chapter 1, verse 1. It says, blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, and that's the world, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. Verse 2, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law does he meditate day and night. So a man of the Lord going to meditate on these scriptures day and night. All right. Now, you know, that doesn't mean that, you know, you just constantly just in the scriptures every single second of the day. No, it just means that as you're walking throughout your day, you know, you're using the wisdom of the scriptures, all right, to your advantage, and working through it throughout the day. That's simply what it means, you know. So continuing verse 3, and it says, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that bringeth forth his fruit in the season. His leaf also shall be withered, and whatsoever he does shall prosper. So, man, the Lord is going to prosper in the world, man. The Lord is going to make sure that you're all right. He's going to make sure everything that you do, all right, is going to be prosperous, man. All right, because why? You're doing the will. You're being pleasing to him, man. All right, the scriptures say, and it speaks about how, all right, a man of the Lord, basically, he makes his foes to be at peace with him. So, you know, these people are your enemy, really, to be honest. You know what I mean? So, and in a sense, all right, when you go to do certain things, it's going to turn out in your favor, man, because the Lord controls all things. All right, the Lord controls all people. All right, so, you know, you're going to be prosperous wherever you go. All right, let me get this real quick. A few more, and we're going to end it out. All right, this is Acts chapter 20, verse 24. It says, but none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself, so that I might finish my course with joy, and the ministry which I receive of the Lord Yahushua, to testify the gospel of the gospel of the grace of Yahweh. So again, it says, none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself. So basically, you have certain people that devote their lives, all right, to being these certain things or figures into the world. All right, I'm going to devote my life to wanting to become a professional boxer, or a professional football player, or a lawyer, or a doctor, or whatever the case may be. All right, but a man of the Lord is going to dedicate his life, all right, to being a servant of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, because he knoweth, all right, he knows that the shadow of this world is eventually going to pass away. All right, the knowledge and these degrees and the status of the world, all right, when all hell breaks loose and all of these things diminish, okay, what is going to be the key factor of being able to get through these times? The knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the scriptures. All right, that's why the scriptures say that, all right, people shall seek the wisdom of the Lord in the last days, because what? Those degrees that they've accumulated over these years and all this status and all that, that's not going to mean shit. It's not going to mean anything. The only thing that's going to matter is the truth of the Bible. All right? So that's why it says, I count my life. All right? It says, again, I'm going to read it again. It says, none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself. So he dedicated his life, all right, to serving the Lord, because ultimately he knew that that was his purpose. All right, I'm going to read that in the NLT. It says, but my life is worth nothing to me unless I use it for finishing the work assigned to me by the Lord Yahushua Mashiach. All right, and that, you know what, that makes me think about a scripture, which is a banger. All right, hold up one second. Ooh, that's a banger. Call Yabashim Yahushua. All right, this is 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24, and it says, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that you may obtain, and every man that strive for the mastery is temperate in all things. What does that mean? That means that, okay, so you see everybody out here in the world, they're running towards to obtain a prize, a master's degree, to be a basketball player, to be a famous rapper, to be all these things in the world. All right, so everybody's running to obtain the prize. All right, what it says, so run that ye may obtain, and that every man strive for the mastery is temperate in all things. They're trying to master their craft, master being this, master being that, master being this. But what? We're mastering to be what? Men of the Lord, men of the scriptures. It says, now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, meaning that the things that they're running towards is eventually going to mean nothing. It's corruptible. It holds no value at the end of the day. All right? It says, but we an incorruptible, I therefore so run, not as unnecessarily, so I fight, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself be a castaway. Now let me read that in the NLT real quick, because it's going to break that down. It says, don't you realize that in a race everyone runs, but one person runs to get the prize? So run to win. All athletes are disciplined in their training. They do it to win a prize that will fade away, We do it for a eternal prize. And what is the eternal prize? The kingdom. All right? Rulership. All right? Dominion. All right? So forth and so on. It says, so I run with purpose in every step. I am not just shadow boxing. I discipline my body like athletes, training it to do what I should. Otherwise, I fear after preaching to others, I myself may be disqualified. So yeah, man. All right, that's the point. All right, is that we're running to obtain an eternal prize, while everybody else, all right, is basically, they're running to get a prize that's gonna be corruptible, which is, it's not gonna mean nothing at the end. All right, let me get this. We almost finished. All right, let me see here. Con. All right, this is Philippians chapter 3, verse 13. It says, brethren, I count not myself to have apprehended, but this one thing I do, forgetting those things which are behind, which is the world, and reaching forth unto those things which are before. All right, so we're not looking at the things behind, what we used to look into, what we used to have purposes for. Now we're looking for the things which are in the front of us, which are the kingdom. All right, this new knowledge that we have gotten, which has awakened us to basically this truth. All right, got one more scripture and we're gonna end it on out. All right, this is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. And it says, and be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh. Now let me get that in the NLT. It says, do not copy the behavior and customs of this world, but yet Yahweh transform you in a new person by changing the way that you think, when you will learn to know Yahweh's will for you, which is good and pleasing and perfect. So basically, all right, the customs of the world is telling you and teaching you to, all right, mold your mind into these things that they want you to be. All right, while the truth is transforming your mind into not making you think that way, into what? Serving and doing the purpose, all right, and the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right, so again, read that one more time. All right, this is Romans chapter 12, verse 2. It says, be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh. So that's the will, all right, that man should be following, is the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, man. All right, that's man's true purpose. All right, is to do the will of the Lord and nothing else. So that's pretty much the lesson. Again, Lord willing, this video was edifying. Again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations and blessings to the Akim that do this work in truth and sincerity. Until the next time, I say Shalom.